Hello friends, welcome back to VOWIAS. Welcome to the discussion of the mains test series, and this is test 5 of Vision IAS, and this is part 1 where we will discuss from question number 1 to question number 5. As you all know, we are discussing all these mains tests so that you will revise all these tests very easily and you will retain the information. Now let's look at the first question, and this first question is on the multidimensional poverty. So the multidimensional poverty index is released by UNDP, as you all know. But even in India, Niti Aayog releases this National Multidimensional Poverty Index. So the question almost is based on that. The multidimensional poverty, it measures the poverty as acute deprivation in three key areas. You all should know this. Multidimensional poverty is based on these three key indicators, which is the living standards, education and healthcare. These three are the important ones. The multidimensional poverty index it serves as a better model than the income criteria to identify poor, because income is only one part of it. Along with income, other things are also needed like the healthcare, education, standard of living. So it's a better measure compared to that of the income. Niti Aayog also releases this National Multidimensional Poverty Index based on report and dashboard. So why this multidimensional poverty index is a better measure is, first, it leverages multi-purpose household surveys and identifies people who experience overlapping deprivations. So along with income, if other deprivations are there, they are measured. Next is, it emphasizes the prevalence of multidimensional poverty across different regions, ethnic groups and other population. Now in India, we are taking various steps for the reduction of this multidimensional poverty, and these steps are, the first is with regarding to the life expectancy and all, especially in the child mortality area. We are working on it. The major schemes like the Janani Suraksha Yojana, the Janani Sishu Suraksha Karyakram, they are basically to promote these institutional deliveries. That means deliveries taking place in the hospitals. So this is done through cash incentives and all. This is basically to reduce the child mortality and ensure that the newborn child and the mother, they are in good shape and good health. Next is the India Newborn Action Plan of 2014. This is to ensure the attainment of the single-digit neonatal mortality and single-digit stillbirth rate by 2030. Next is this Reproductive Maternal Child and Adolescent Health Program, which is aimed at reproductive maternal newborn child and adolescent health under the broad umbrella. This is a broad scheme. So remember this Janani Suraksha Yojana, the Newborn Action Plan, and the Reproductive Maternal Child Adolescent Health, and also remember this Universal Immunization Program. This universal immunization program provides vaccination to children against these life-threatening diseases. So these these vaccines under this mission Indradhanush, this will help the children to gain resistance against a lot of diseases, and this is very, very important for the health of the children. So that's why this mission Indradhanush is very important. And the intensified mission Indradhanush was also launched to immunize children who are either unvaccinated or partially vaccinated. So all these things will help in the protection of health of the children. The PM Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan, which provides fixed day assured comprehensive quality antenatal care to pregnant women. The Rashtriya Bala Swasthya Karyakramam for comprehensive care to the children in the age of 0 to 18 years in a community. All these steps are taken for the child mortality. And for nutrition also, we are taking various steps like the Poshan scheme, the nutrition rehabilitation centers to treat children with malnutrition and all. Next, the iron and folic supplementation, the health nutrition education through information, through various communication channels, right? And also through the Sarvasiksha Abhiyan, the midday meal scheme, the Mahila Samakya program, the scheme of this occasional education, and so on and so forth. Also, this National Education Program 2020 ensures universal access to all levels of school education. And also, along with these, even for the living standards, for the better living standards, we have launched various schemes like the Swasth Bharat Abhiyan, PM Awas Yojana, the Swajal scheme for clean drinking water, the Ujjwala Yojana for LPG, the clean cooking fuel, and the Saubhagya scheme for the electricity to the BPL. So in all the areas, we are working comprehensively. This is basically to ensure that the people will receive all the benefits and come out of poverty. This is the main aim. So whenever there is a question on this multidimensional poverty, so just write the basic facts So show the problems where we are, the current situation with regard to the neonatal mortality, with regard to the child mortality and all, and also show the poverty rate, the people without proper health, and also the healthcare spendings which the people are doing. So all show all these things, all these problems, and then in the solutions and the steps taken, give these steps. Okay, at least remember 2 to 3 schemes from each and every area, like from nutrition 2 to 3 schemes minimum, from education 2 to 3 schemes, right, for living standards 2 to 3 schemes, and so on and so forth. This will give you very good marks. Next, the second question is on the commercial coal mining in India. Coal is very important for the energy needs of India. The coal is used for electricity, and also the coal is used for the production of steel and all. So coal is something which is very important for us. More than 50% of the electricity we are still manufacturing, or we are still producing using these coal-based thermal power plants. So the auction of these coal mines and all that was a very big issue, because back then we had the coal licensing scams and all. So that's why now we have brought in these new policies with regard to the commercial coal mining and all. So in this commercial coal mining, this allows the private sector to mine the coal commercially without placing any end use restrictions. So they can mine and they can use this coal for whatever purpose they want, the private companies especially. 100% FDI through automatic route is also allowed in this coal mining. Now what are the benefits from commercial coal mining? It has various benefits, this commercial coal mining especially. First is, it meets 1/5 of the annual coal requirement via imports. India meets 1/5 through the imports, and commercial coal mining can reduce this bill by at least 1/3, because already we are importing a lot. So if we can reduce these imports, then this will be beneficial for us. This will save the foreign currency reserves especially. This will also ensure that new players will come in, new technologies will be introduced, there will be new practices, automation and all. So technologically the sector will grow. Also the revenues from auction of coal mines, this would accrue to the coal bearing states. In captive coal mining, the companies were not required to pay the royalty to the states, as mined coal was meant for their own end use. So this also will help. So this also will in fact even reduce the extra burden on these companies and all. This will make things more transparent and easy. The private players and the foreign investments will end the monopoly of this Coal India Limited, and it will bring in competition. So the competition will ensure that more and more coal is mined, more and more technologies are brought in, more capital is brought in. All of these things will be there. And if more capital is brought in, if new technologies are brought in, this will ensure that the sector grows, and when the sector grows, this would create new employment and new opportunities for the people. So this will develop that area in the wholesome way. But this comes at a cost. This comes at a cost, and there are various issues. What are the issues and challenges? This new regime would also allow companies which has no mining experience. So when new companies are coming without any mining experience, so that means this will have this can have catastrophic consequences on the environment as well as the people who are living there. There is no restriction on the end use, and they can even export this one which is produced in India, and this will again this will not in fact achieve its desired objective. And states like Jharkhand, they are worrying. They even went to the courts saying that this will impact the scheduled areas, because scheduled areas control is more with the states, right? The 5th schedule, 6th schedule areas and all. So this will impact that. And next is that after winning the coal auction, the rehabilitation and resettlement needs to be managed, and very few firms in India today have the financial risk management and capabilities to go through all these things, because the environmental impact assessments have to be conducted, the people have to be compensated, and all of these things have to be done. It's not easy. All the companies do not have this kind of capacity. These things are there. Also what another issues is that there is this underwhelming response. There are very few bids with respect to these coal blocks that was seen. And also the federal challenges, as we have just discussed. And another important thing is that monopoly. Yes, today we are trying to avoid this government monopoly through this Coal India Limited, but what about the private monopoly? The companies like Adani and all, they are having huge coal mines with them, and that is going to create monopoly in the private market as well. And there are climate concerns also, which we already know. The climate, the health, all these things are issues that have to be addressed. So the way forward can be the government balancing its commitment towards the climate change and also it's imperative to push the development agenda. So this balance between the climate and development has to be focused, that balance, because without that balance then we are going to be in trouble. And as this is a new kind of regime in India, this kind of auctioning and all, we still have to wait and see about its potential, about the issues and all, and they have to be carefully monitored so that we will be able to utilize it to, we will be able to utilize all these things for our benefit, for the benefit of people at large, right? So like that we can just end this answer. Next question, the third question is on the Mega Food Park Scheme of 2008. Mega Food Park Scheme. The Mega Food Park Scheme is something which is very important for the wholesome development of agriculture. So this aims at providing modern food processing infrastructure along with integrated value chain from farm to market with cluster based approach. So it operates in a hub and spoke model. Hub and spoke model where the hub will be there at center and spokes, that means the production from various villages, they will come to this hub. Okay, and so this is basically to promote the agriculture, to develop the agriculture sector at large. It was launched in 2008-9 to ensure that there is value addition in all the agricultural products and there is less reduction of this food wastage, because the food processing what we are doing is currently very less. In fact, if you see, there is less than 10% food that is processed in India. So that's why the food processing is very important. So what are the significance of this scheme? We have to know its importance. First is creation of infrastructure for primary processing and storage near these farms, and also to create integrated value chain with food processing at the core, supported by the requisite forward and backward linkages. Next, to enhance the productivity, bring the farmers together, process the food that is available and ensure that there is linkages between the retailers and the agricultural production, and also boost the value addition in the 22 perishable items like mango, banana, apple, pineapple, cauliflower, beans, etc. So that is the thing. And here you can write this data. Currently there are about 22 mega food parks which are in operation. They are in line with the Make in India and Atmanirbhar vision. But this scheme has a lot of challenges like the procedural delays from state government, and they are not able to attract these investors. That is the major thing. Also, the units in these mega food parks, they cannot own land and cannot use land as collateral to take loans. So this is creating a major issue because they are not getting enough capital. And also lack of skilled workforce. The skilling is something which is very poor in India. So this is also impacting. The timeline of 30 months to make the park operational is too tight for the promoters. The scheme parameters should be revised to ensure flexibility, because without flexibility the companies will face a lot of difficulties. They would not like to come and invest. So that is also another thing. And also the cold chain and food parks have been declared as infrastructure to ensure greater flow of funds and also to ensure that the sector will become profitable. The National Food Processing Policy, it is targeting to increase the investments in the sector by 6 times by 2035. So this can be a very good conclusion, and because this includes even the way forward as well. Okay. So overall, this scheme has great potential, and if used in the right spirit, this will in fact change the face of Indian agriculture forever. Okay. So this is about this mega food park scheme. Next question, the fourth question is on livestock sector in India, the livestock sector. So if you see in GS3, agriculture is very important, and in that livestock is another important area. On this we will see questions very frequently. So you have to know all the basic facts and you have to be very clear with regarding introduction and conclusions. Animal husbandry itself is an important subsector of Indian agricultural economy. India is actually blessed to have a very huge livestock population. If you see, according to this 20th livestock census, India has world's highest livestock population, and it is the source of livelihood to 2/3 of rural community, and 8.8% of population of India is dependent on it. 4.11% is the contribution to GDP, and more than 25% to agriculture GDP. So that is the importance of this livestock. So, but this overall livestock sector is facing a lot of challenges. What are those? The first is low productivity of the indigenous breeds, and this is making them a burden. Next is susceptible to various diseases, exotic diseases like this hemorrhagic septicemia, the swine fever, etc. Along with this, in recent times, this lump skin disease and all, it was in news. So that was also a major issue, the lump skin disease. So all these things. Okay, and also another thing is that this inadequate infrastructure with regarding maybe the veterinary institutions, the cold storage facilities for the vaccination and all, the inadequate forward and backward linkages for this livestock processing and all, lack of institutional credit, lack of this livestock formal market, because most of the market is informal. 5% of cropped area is utilized to grow fodder, and the area is under permanent pastoral grasslands, which is 3.3%, and this is decreasing at large. And also the unconventional sources of milk like camel, yak, etc. failed to be included comprehensively within the policies and programs. And if you see the globalization, we are facing huge competition from various countries like Australia, New Zealand and all, from the as their dairy sectors are very well developed, and they grow this livestock on a very large scale, and that is impacting and that is creating issues in this Indian sector as well. And also the breeding is becoming a major issue these days. For that, we have launched various schemes to connect the breeders and the farmers. So all these things we can write. Now, what are the measures that can be taken to remove these impediments? First is strengthening the linkages. Next, promoting livestock farm automation. The third one is exploring possibilities to avail more funds under schemes like the Krishi Vikas Yojana, the MP-LAD scheme and all. And establishing these mobile veterinary clinics will be very helpful for the farmers, including veterinary colleges and universities, to reduce this shortage of trained manpower. Investments by private companies, cooperative societies can be used in this veterinary infrastructure. Next, the one-stop center to livestock issues and dissemination of information to the remotest areas of the country, and this can reduce these infectious diseases. All these things we can write. And also we can write these government schemes like the Kamadeni Yojana and all, which is to improve these domestic or local breeds. All these things we can just write. Okay, so these are the issues, and these are the measures that can be taken, and then you can write a very good conclusion. Because at the end of the day, if we can have these issues and the measures, so we can write a very comprehensive answer. So next question, the fifth question, is on the National Monetization Pipeline. The National Monetization Pipeline is the asset monetization program of the Government of India. This is basically to unlock this value of the brownfield projects by engaging the private sector, transferring to them the revenue rights and not the ownership rights, and using them to generate more infrastructure and using them to create more infrastructure, in fact, across the country. That is the main aim. So this scheme, if you see, it consists of limited period of transfer of these performing assets owned by the government. This is to ensure that we unlock this idle capital and reinvest it in other sectors. So this concept of asset monetization is structured around few things. So it is structured around monetizing assets with high appetite among investors, new asset creation without increase in debt levels. This is also taken care of. Efficient gains to improve the performance monitoring, enhance investment opportunities, depth and liquidity in infrastructure and asset class. Okay, basically this National Monetization Pipeline estimates aggregate monetization potential of about 6 lakh crores through core assets of Government of India over the next 4 years. That is from 2022 to 2025. Now the significance, if you see, this has a great significance for India. So first is it emphasized on innovation and alternative mechanisms to ensure that more capital is generated and more infrastructure is created, and it is to tap the private sector efficiencies in operations and management of infrastructure, because India has one of the largest brownfield stocks in the world. This will have a spillover effect on infrastructure sector overall. This will create high demand for creation of other infrastructure as well. It will create further value addition. It will ensure that there is value addition in the field of infrastructure, okay, which can be monetized and used by the government as well, right? Over the last few years, there have been reduced interest of private sector, so this will change the scenario overall. Okay. Also, the real estate infrastructure trusts and infrastructure investment trusts, these new models will ensure that the finance is also there with the private sector, and they can participate in the infrastructure creation. right? But there are certain issues, there are certain challenges overall. What are these challenges? We will see that as well. Here it is not given, but we will go through them. The first is that, so there is a lack of this identifiable revenue stream. So the uniform identifiable revenue stream is not there. The next is that the lack of capacity utilization is still evident in a lot of sectors, especially in the gas and petroleum networks. So that is also another issue. And also the dispute resolution mechanism is still not clear, because obviously, especially in PPPs, we have seen a lot of issues have come in with between the government and private companies. So this dispute resolution mechanism has to be robust. And the next is that the low interest among the investors is still seen. And also the analysts also point out to issues of lack of independent regulators, especially in this sector, which is also creating a major issue, because timely lot of changes have to be brought in with regarding policies, and various issues can be solved easily if you have an independent regulator. So that is there. So this asset monetization, it needs to be viewed not just as a funding mechanism, but as an overall paradigm shift in the infrastructure operations, augmentation and maintenance, considering these private sectors resources efficiencies, its ability to dynamically adapt, and all these things. So like this we can just end our answer. Okay, and also new models have to be promoted by the government so that they can tap more international investments in this infrastructure sector. Like this we can just write the conclusion. Okay, so these are the 5 questions for the day, and as you already know, this is a document consisting of the summaries of that we have prepared from the vision test series. These summary documents will help in your overall value addition and fast revision. So do make the best use of this, right? Do make the best use of these things, and if you have any query, you can get back to us via Telegram, right? So that's it, guys. From my side, we'll meet again tomorrow with some more questions, with 5 more questions, and we will continue. Till then, keep studying and stay tuned. Jai Hind.